Hey everyone, and welcome to another one of our videos. Today I'm going to be doing a review on this TOSOT air conditioner. This is kind of an interesting video. I've only done a couple videos on air conditioner items in the past, primarily being the portable air conditioners that I installed in my garage a few years ago. And the company TOSOT, or TOSOT, however you say it, reached out to me and asked if I wanted to do a review on their air conditioner. So they provided this review sample for free. I'm going to give you guys my honest review, feedback of it. It's pretty comparable to the ones that I currently have in my garage as far as cooling capacity goes. It has a few more features that will be nice to kind of play around with and test out, and a little bit different of a form factor as well. Basically where I'm going to put this is towards the back of my house, or in the back of my house where I have kind of a shop area that's unair conditioned right now. It doesn't get super hot because it's insulated, but it does get pretty toasty in the summer living in Arizona. So big thing that this is going to do is not only cool it down, but also dehumidify back there because it's not climate controlled. So what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through what it comes with, and then I'm going to run it for 24 hours kind of in my garage, venting it out a side vent that I have in there. Per the instructions, they want you to let it sit for 3 or 4 hours whenever you receive the unit, and then run it for 24 hours continuously to kind of get the thing set up and ready to go. And once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and take it to the area that I'm going to install it and work through the installation there. I'm planning on using the window kit that it comes with, which is in that long brown box underneath most of the components that you see on the floor. But if I need a longer window kit, I will purchase one. The reason I might is because this unit, the place that I'm going to install it is in a vertically sliding window. So a window that the kit will install in vertically, and the actual window opens and closes horizontally. So you need, generally speaking, a longer kit for that. So I may need an extended version of what I have here right now. But just to walk you through what it comes with obviously the air conditioner itself. You see that on the left. Some installation hardware and the bubble wrap that is right in front of that. It comes with a drain tube, in case you want to be able to drain the air conditioner easily using the collection tray and then drain cock on it that's built in. Or B, if you want to have it continuously drain, you can also do that as well into like a floor drainer out the wall, something like that. Also included is a remote control and batteries, which my other air conditioners that I have in my garage do not have, so that's kind of a cool thing to see. It comes with the user's manual, a little thank you card. It comes with the duct that will plumb the air conditioner's exhaust from the unit itself out the window. It comes with the flanges that you need to connect the duct. And it also comes with some foam that will help you seal the window kit to your window, and includes a grate to make sure that nothing comes in through wherever it's venting out of. So I'm going to go ahead, get this thing temporarily set up in my garage, run it for the 24-hour kind of break-in period, and I will let you know how that goes. Well, it's been a little while since I shot anything on this air conditioner. The last clip was just the introduction, and I was running through all of the components. And I've done quite a bit since then in terms of testing and whatnot. So we're in a completely different environment from where we shot the first little bit of the video. What I did in the interim is I tested this thing out right after it was delivered. I let it sit for about 4 hours per the instructions, just to let everything settle, the refrigerant and everything in the unit. And then I ran it for a 24-hour stint to break it in, quote unquote, to start with, again per the instructions. In my 3-car garage, worked fantastically, and I was actually really impressed with the performance of it in there. I knew it wouldn't cool down the 3-car garage, and it wouldn't be able to maintain any kind of temperature in there. It's way too much square footage, and the garage in question has about 12-foot high ceilings. Way too much air volume for this thing to handle. Just was running it in there for break-in purposes. But what it was able to do was actually pretty impressive. It was able to cool down that garage, which is insulated, from about 110 degrees down to around 90 degrees once the car was cooled down in there. But if a hot car was pulled in, it would only bring that temperature down to about 100 degrees. But for all intents and purposes, that's pretty damn impressive for a unit that's this small. So what I noticed whenever I was testing that is the air distribution. So whenever I had this air conditioner kind of set up and plugged in, I was doing some very minor regular maintenance items on a couple of my vehicles in the bay that this was closest to. And I noticed the air distribution out of the vents, which are positionable like this, but are vertical and kind of blow out and disperse air not only out, but outwards towards the sides, as well as up and down a decent amount. The distribution is fantastic on this unit. In comparison to the old EdgeStar units that I have in my two-car garage, those ones are not that great in terms of distribution. They will cool down the environment over time, but because the vents point up like this, they basically only shoot air up, which is logical in some ways because your cool air will fall back down and hot air will rise. But they don't direct air on you or towards you very well. And because of that, you don't get quite as good of a cooling effect from them as a person. They will, again, cool your environment, but that only happens over time, and you don't get any real direct airflow from them. So I kind of changed my plan for this thing a little bit. This one I was going to use as a quote-unquote environmental cooler in my shop area in the back of my house, but I decided that an environmental cooler may be really better suited for something like this, where it just kind of shoots the air up into the environment and cools the environment, and you don't really need any direct airflow because you're always cooling that environment. My garage I don't always cool. I don't always have the air conditioners running in here, only whenever I'm working on a car. And because of that, I think some directional airflow would benefit me. So I've changed the way that I was going to use this. I'm going to actually install it here in my garage. And what I'm hoping to do is to unplug the little hose that I have kind of pre-configured for this and remove the connector for the new air conditioner right here from the hose that it came with and swap that onto the hose over here. These connections, they just basically screw onto the hoses because the hoses are corrugated. So I think everything should work. I believe the hose sizes are the same and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and try that out. And I will come back and let you know how it worked out. All right, so I have the new unit set up here, and it's blowing some nice ice cold air, thankfully, because sitting here problem solving and everything for a little bit, I got a little bit toasty in the garage. So essentially what I had to overcome was the tube sizes being different. The vent hose, vent tube, whatever you want to call them, between the old EdgeStar unit right back here and this new TOSOT one is different. Now on the new one, it is marked diameter 140 millimeter tube, or at least outlet. So that one is marked explicitly. The old EdgeStar ones are not. The EdgeStar tube is smaller. So unfortunately I couldn't just screw on the new fitting onto the old hose and have everything kind of button up and work as it should. So what I did short term is basically just slipped the hose down here at the end over the coupler in the wall that goes through my wall to the outside, and slipped it over and it will vent out that way. Now that's a short-term solution. It's not perfectly sealed, and I will come up with something custom to accommodate that here soon. But for the short term, that will work. Now, because this is a kind of different situation than a lot of people have in terms of running a portable AC in a garage through a wall as opposed to through a window in a house or an apartment or something like that, I'm not going to cover that in a whole bunch of detail since that really doesn't apply to the unit itself. But just know that that's an option out there. I mean, if you're creative enough, if you have something like a 3D printer, you can make yourself a custom fitting for pretty much any application. So that's a good thing to have on hand. But like I said, this thing's blowing some ice cold air. It is fantastic. Certainly a lot more air volume moved by this thing than the other units, the EdgeStar ones. I mean, this thing really moves some air, and it definitely, I think, actually blows a little bit colder than these ones. Now, those ones are a few years old, so it may just be that those ones are getting a little bit tired, especially because when I do run them, I run them hard. I will run them for 48, 72 or more hour periods straight, where they are running constantly. So they do see a little bit of use and abuse. They were also very inexpensive. I think this unit is somewhere around $300 and $350, and those smaller ones there were, I think, a little bit under $200. So definite price discrepancy there. And I think there's also a size discrepancy. I think that this one is actually a little bit, does have a little bit higher cooling capacity. So I tested out a few of the features of this thing. I didn't mention it in the last clip, but whenever I was running it in my other garage, I did test out the timer function. So what I was wanting to do over there was basically not cool the garage when a hot car was in it. I did that for a little while, and it was just a little bit inefficient and didn't really do a whole lot. Like I said, it dropped the temperature maybe 10 degrees, but nothing crazy, and nothing where I would want to go out and work in a 100-degree garage. So what I did was I tested the timer function by setting it to run for 12 hours or so overnight. It doesn't have like a scheduler built in, you have to set it where it will start running whenever you turn it on, and you set the timer for 12 hours and it will run and turn off after 12 hours or something like that. That's what I was using it for. Worked really well. Didn't have any issues with that. I haven't tried any of the different modes other than cooling because I don't have any need for just dehumidification right now. Again, this is Arizona. This is a very toasty garage right now, even still with this thing running. It's nice and cool in front of it, but the rest of the garage is probably in the 90s, if not a little bit over 100 degrees, because I haven't run any AC in this garage for a little while. But overall, I'm really, really happy with this thing. I know I didn't show the installation with the window kit and everything. That probably will apply to more people's situations, but for what I need it for right now, cooling down my garage so I can keep on working on cars and that sort of thing, this is what I ended up using it for. So I think the window kit and all of the other hardware that came with it, in inspecting it and everything and actually having that plan initially, it all looks really good. I did check the window kit fitment wise with my window that I was planning on installing it in, and it worked no problem. The kit was plenty long enough for a vertical window, so unless you're trying to install it in something like a sliding door, I think you'll be pretty much okay. If you have just standard sized or even slightly oversized windows, you should be covered for any of those kind of situations there. But again, really, really happy with this thing. Like I said, moves a lot more air than those old ones. Definitely, I think, a little bit cooler than those old ones, and a little bit fuller featured as well. The biggest benefit, like I said, of this one over a lot of other ones is the way that it blows the air out of the front, and it just moves air and spreads it pretty darn well. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I will keep you all posted in the comments or the video description on how this unit performs over time. I'm expecting it to work really, really well, just like it has been. These old ones, different brand obviously, but they've been rock solid for me for a few years now. I think I installed those about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, and they've been running just fine since then. These portable units have been pretty darn good to me so far. So keep you updated on everything. Wonderful unit for the price, especially. It's not super expensive. The next kind of jump up in portables jumps from a few $100 to a few hundred more bucks. You essentially kind of double the price and you get a little bit more thermal cooling capacity, but how much cooling capacity you need out of a portable unit is questionable, because really these things, they are not the most efficient. They don't recycle air the way that a normal air conditioner would, so having more cooling capacity while the unit is technically capable of it may or may not actually translate into better cooling. That's a whole nother subject that videos, many videos on YouTube have gotten into. So if you're curious about that, just watch some videos on portable air conditioners in general, and you'll learn some about that. But with that, I want to thank you all for watching. Like I said, I'll keep you all posted on how this thing runs, and I'll see you in the next video.